welcome to this short video on what zero trust is. We'd like to provide you with some information so you understand the importance behind what zero trust is and how this plays into your Microsoft um, implementation and how we can help you at JourneyTEAM to take advantage of your investment within Microsoft 365. Zero Trust, just as a whole, is a framework that assumes all network activity, whether it's internal or external, is a security threat. So based off of that premise, we have some reasons as to why zero trust is a buzzword and why it's such a big focus now within a lot of organizations. So the reason why we're talking about zero trust goes back to three key points here. One of them is the proliferation of data and devices. So more and more throughout organizations, people have access to data from multiple devices. It's not just about using a laptop or a desktop going into work and you have access to your work data through there. You literally have mobile devices everywhere connected to the internet that now have access to cloud services, where a lot of organizations are saving their data, their sensitive data, and that makes it very easy to access those things from anywhere. The other thing is just growth in hybrid work and remote work in general being more and more part of any organization throughout the world. Ever since COVID, this is becoming just kind of a standard. And so that's another important consideration in relation to your data and your systems. So you want to take threat prevention measures so that those who need access have it while keeping out those who shouldn't. And third, we are seeing an increase in attacks and cyber attacks, and they're getting more and more sophisticated as time goes on. The old school network perimeter type of landscape and architecture that existed is still very much in play, but with cloud services, it's very different. And so the approach as to how you secure, again, your data is very much dependent on more modern approaches around how you're securing your identities and your devices, because that becomes the front door for your end users, but also any attacker that's trying to compromise your environment or data. Okay. So zero trust framework and architecture in general is going to allow you to mitigate a lot of those things that I've previously mentioned. So you take into consideration, again, three things. First is verifying explicitly, which means that we're always going to authenticate and authorize access based on several different data points. And those are tied back to who you are, so your identity, your location where you're trying to authenticate from, the device health, perhaps, and whether or not that device is a corporate managed device, what service or workload you're trying to access, data classification, and any anomalies in behavior for that specific identity trying to access your environment and your cloud services. The next piece of this is using least privileged access, right? So we assign specific roles to administrators to access the systems that they need to oversee, but in a way that's minimal. So we're not giving them access to everything. We're only giving them access to the specific things that they oversee and administer, and also implement technologies that allow you to enable that specific role and access at the time that they need it. As well as just enough access. So just as a whole in your organization, making sure that you're only granting access to your end users, um, to the data that they need, and nothing else, right? So minimizing the opportunity for bad actors to impact a broader audience and a broader range of systems that you may have in your environment. The other thing is using risk-based adaptive policies and data protection overall to secure your environment. So we're looking at using technology provided by, in this case, we're focusing on Microsoft, their technologies that are able to take into account the things that users are doing within an environment or at the time of authentication to flag users as risky and then take proactive measures to mitigate a situation where users get into that state. And then third, assuming breach and assuming that at this moment in time, there is a compromised situation or account system, and we're configuring things in such a way that if that is the case, if an account in your environment is compromised, we minimize the blast radius and we segment access so that it doesn't allow bad actors to have a more profound impact on an environment. So who does this really apply to? Like what industry should care about this? We talk about healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, education is big verticals. Yes, this is applicable to every single industry that you see on here and ones that you may not, because of the security impacts that this could have for any organization. Every single one of these has sensitive data. Every single one of these should be worried about that data landing in the wrong hands externally, but also securing it so that internally only those that need access to that are given access. So focusing on zero trust and what we can do and how we can strategize around this, we lay out and look at different pillars of zero trust in general. And those are laid out here. And you can see it starts with identity. We have endpoints, we have applications, we have data and your actual network, because we are still very much in a world where we have hybrid environments, and this is still applicable to them as well. So in identity, we're focused on your users' authentication, obviously, and all the different features that are part of that. Microsoft has a whole set of features to focus around Azure Active Directory security. And in addition to that, we then talk about endpoints. Where are they accessing these systems from? Mobile, desktop PC, et cetera, right? We have a whole feature set that is focused on securing endpoints. Then we look at applications, what systems, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, CRM related applications, your email through Exchange Online, all of those, there's different features that we can configure in a way that makes those a lot more robust than they come out of the box. Then we go into data, so a more granular level, whole feature set that allows us to protect our data, whether it's internally or externally. And then network considerations as well, using best practices to protect your networks. And all of these together puts you in a much, much better place, taking into consideration a zero trust architecture and making your environment a lot more secure and robust. So that's a quick summary of why Zero Trust is important, what it is, and how using the Microsoft stack and focusing on the different pillars, um, you can end up in a much, much better place, securing your environment, securing your applications, your end users, your data. And we are happy to assist you along that journey.